Radio Lomax, l'émission du 106.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Okay, oh, fine. Belly's full, it's okay. Nice people here, so
Yeah.
what can you ask for?
Hey,
Yeah,
it's good.
How's the tour going so far?
It's going good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can't complain. Everything is okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's okay with you, let's dive into the making of Coyote.
Okay.
Okay, you surrounded yourself with quite the team here, bright musicians, and including your own father, if I'm right.
Yes.
James?
Yeah, that's right.
Hello, James.
Yeah.
Considering this is your first self-produced album,
Mm-hmm.
do you see the ability to choose who you work with as paramount in that case, the entourage?
I just want to get the best and most capable musicians in the room and also people that I love their work and who I know are going to deliver what they do and bring a little bit of what they do that I love to the project. And Seth Kaufman, bass player, has a band called Floating Action.
Mm-hmm.
Great band. I've been a fan of him for years. And so we did I asked him to be on bass for the record because I love him so much. And then I've, worked with Moose before, Moose Brown, who played keys on the record. And he's just an amazing keyboard player from Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fred Eltringham was one of my favorite drummers. I'd seen him in sessions and stuff. So I just thought all these people are so talented, and I knew that they were going to bring something real special to the experience.
Okay. Do you remember your first impressions in the studio with your father? Was it like a tool, or maybe just a smell, a vibe?
Like working with him, you mean?
Just seeing him.
Seeing him in the studio. Oh, yeah, he was a workaholic. He was always in there, and I wasn't allowed in there when I was younger while they were working. And I most of the time just hung out with the receptionist. Yeah, okay. Miss Rebecca, she was real nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into the concept of the album, which is reminiscent of a well-known figure in outlaw country folk music,
mm-hmm.
The Man on the Run,
mm-hmm.
The Wanderer.
Yeah.
So how much of yourself did you pour into the mix?
Well, I've always, liked to go from place to place, and I never really had a home. As soon as I was 16, I left my house, and I had been given a car by my stepfather. He had given me a 97 Chevrolet Blazer, and I just took off in that thing. It was one of the nicest things he ever did for me, and then I just stayed on the road after that, and I joined a rock and roll band, dropped out of high school. So I don't know, I love that way of life. I always did. Less so now that I have a child,
mm-hmm.
but I loved it then. And there's a part of me that still lives in all of that, in that way of life. And so I understand that, and I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable. I grew up pretty poor without a whole lot of anything, so that doesn't scare me. Having nothing might scare a lot of people, but I'm not too afraid of it. I know that I can survive with very little, but the problem is now that I have a child, I can't afford to have nothing anymore.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that way of life. I also understand desperation and pain and all of that as well, just as most people on the planet, everyone, in fact, does. And so a lot of that went into this record. Okay. That part of it, for sure, came from me.
Is that the meaning of the song Hate,
mm-hmm.
the universality of just what you told, that everybody strives, and hate is a bond?
Yeah, it's just about like no one escapes it. It touches everyone at some point in their life, and yes, in a way, it is. We are all bonded by it in one form or another. And I love that track. I thought it was really cool. But the song meaning is, just like, everybody gets a taste of it,
Okay, the coyote in itself is also totemic element in Native American culture. It is at times cunning and wise, and can connect dreams, life, and death. Has it become like your spirit animal or not?
My spirit, you mean like the way I feel, or
Like, like a guide you can refer to, dream of?
I don't know. I'll tell you the one of the nicest compliments I ever got was someone said that your music makes me dream, and I thought that's lovely. That's such a lovely thing to say, especially as a musician. You want your music to make people dream, and like kind of get lost in in another world for a while. It's very immersive, and I try to make that and put that in music. Very immersive music, and it's almost like you can kind of like escape a little bit of the day and go into somewhere new, but also I want it to be relatable as well, and I want it to help people.
Okay, you referred to your childhood as quite nomadic. But what was it like growing up in towns like Blanchard, Louisiana, or Muscle Shores, Alabama? What is the experience of growing up in that kind of environment?
Well, my hometown, I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. My grandfather was from Lafayette in the south of Louisiana, but then moved up north. Shreveport was a very industrial city. It had a lot of factories, but a lot of crime. It's a kind of a broken city, There's a lot of gun violence and drugs and gangs and stuff like that. So the culture was very thick with that when I was growing up. And so it was sort of, everybody was just trying to survive, the best way they could. And of course, with a lot of poverty, you get a lot of drug dealing and a lot of gangs and people joining gangs. And so I got a taste of that growing up. And then Muscle Shoals was the complete opposite. It was very blue collar, as we say, very like safe, and small town though. Shreveport's pretty big. Muscle Shoals is small, so it was the opposite. It was very safe, and everyone knows each other. Says hello to each other. It was a much warmer place, and the music scene was beautiful, like a lot of great songwriters and singers and things like that.
I feel that modest towns and communities are not as represented in the vision we have of America. All the glamour goes to either the huge cities or the wilderness and the great outdoors and the last frontier. But that's kind of unfair in a way, who's celebrating like Flint, Michigan?
Yeah. I feel bad for Flint. They've had bad water for a really long time now. Yeah. No one cares. The problem with America as a whole is we're too concerned with what's going on outside of the country and not concerned at all about what's going on with the people in our country, which is why Flint, Michigan has had lead in their water for 20 years now, and they're not doing anything about it. So, and like a lot of towns like that struggle. There's a lot of corruption in Louisiana. That'll never change. It's always been like that. Of course, we have to as far as politics, and I don't talk about politics much because I don't care, because it makes me sick. You know, it brings so much anger out in people, and I hate that. And I'm not trying to make people angry. I want to bring people together. You know, there's been enough division, especially in the United States, and I've seen it in the last 10 years, more so than ever in my life. But so I don't want to bring about division. I want to bring about unity, which is what it's all about. But I do think that there's problems that represent themselves in very devious ways when you've got politicians who are corrupt, and it's become normal, and it has for years and years. But you know, lobbying should be illegal, but they do it. You know, can you imagine? I don't know anything about the French government except for the history I've learned. But, you know, I don't know if corporations lobby to your politicians to get them to pass laws. I don't know if that's illegal.
Yes, the same here.
Same here.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
yeah. So, but it's like that, you know, and so they're not, when you have that is legal, you lose the interest of the people, and you start doing more interest in yourself and lining your pockets. And it should be a duty, you know, not something you go into to get super wealthy. That's the way I think. But, you know, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I also couldn't present a better way either. So that's why a lot of times I keep my mouth shut. But, yeah.
Your music does it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just write about it. Music, yeah.
I heard you grew up, you referred to that too a moment ago. You grew up in like punk rock bands?
Yeah, not
in your
really
early
punk rock.
days,
It was
no.
like when I was, say, 14, 15, and I had a really good friend in Shreveport who I played with, who wrote really good songs. And I just played guitar in that band, and I loved it. And I played guitar, and I could always sing harmonies pretty good. And so I got a lot of gigs just because I could play guitar pretty good and sing harmony. And so I started playing with him back in those days. And Daniel Goodwill was his name. And I loved his songs, and we're still friends. He's one of my oldest friends. And but yeah, I started playing with him as my first band. And a little kind of punkish, kind of like rock. I don't know. It was just fun to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any common threads with, between that kind of music and Americana and country and folk? Are there certain values maybe that, you know, link them?
Well, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think, well, you look at Johnny Cash, like, I don't know a punk rock band that doesn't love Johnny Cash.
Yeah, sure.
Because, I mean, he was sort of anti-establishment, as a lot of punk bands, which is what it meant, you know, to be in a punk band and to sing punk music. It meant you were anti-establishment. And so Johnny Cash is like sort of always pointing out what could be better and sort of trying to, you know, and a lot of country, outlaw country guys like Waylon and Johnny Cash and, you know, Willie, and they sort of did what was not normal at the time, and they spoke up about things that, or wrote about, saying about things that were taboo, as we say at the time.
Okay. Okay, and to conclude, can we say that making this album, Coyote, is like closing a loop for you in your own personal life?
I don't know about that, but it was just a really lovely record to make, and it was so much fun to make, and I got complete creative control to make it however I wanted to, with a decent budget to hire like the people that I wanted to hire that I knew could get the job done really well, and that was lovely. I had never had really that kind of opportunity before.
Yeah.
And so that's what it sounds like when I do. So in a way, that's a mark checked off the list. So I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just a brief word before we go and check Brian Lopez on stage. Can we hear about your real life encounter with the coyote?
Sure. Yeah, I was with me and my drummer who's with me today. We were I grew up with him. We've known each other for 20 years. He's from my hometown as well. And we were in Austin, Texas, climbing a mountain, not a mountain, but like a cliff, I guess is a better word to say. Mm-hmm. And it goes about maybe 100 feet. It's pretty high. I don't know, like 40, 50 meters. It was really up. And then when we got to the top, it was like a 90-degree angle downward, so you had to hang on to the trees to sort of walk across it, and it fell on the other side. It was very thin at the top, and then it would sort of spread out as you kept walking. And there was a raccoon that flew right past me as I'm hanging onto these trees, and then right behind him was a coyote, and I'm hanging there, and he stops, and it comes to a sliding stop, and we were kind of looking at each other, and we looked at each other like directly in the eyes, and I was like, if you go this way, I'll go that way, and we won't have to fall off the cliff, because if he would have jumped at me, either he was going or I was going to go, or we were both going to go. And so it was kind of a moment where the animal and I connected. And I've always found them they get they have a bad reputation in America and in a lot of places, but for being a nuisance to people. They'll kill your cats or your dogs, and they get into the trash, and they're everywhere, and they will bite you if you get too close. They can be kind of dangerous in a way, but I like the animal's nature of like survival, which is correlated with the record as well and the character of the album. And I don't know, I kind of relate to the animal in a way of just having to fight to survive, which is what they do,
Sure.
Yeah. So I like that.
Yes, nice picture. And you walking literally on the edge.
Yeah.
Of something that tells something of your
absolutely
own music.
Yeah. On the edge with the coyote.
Okay. Thank you, Dylan.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you for your words.
Yeah, thank you. You have a nice day.